In today's lesson, we're going to learn articles. Okay, I know a lot of you guys struggle to use articles in a sentence or in a clause, but don't worry, today I'm going to show you how articles are used. But first of all, you need to understand what an article is. Okay, so we have two types of articles. We have definite article and indefinite articles. So here, all right, a or an, all right, is indefinite article, all right, and the definite article. So what does it mean by indefinite and definite? Okay, all right, so articles, but first you need to understand what an article is. Articles are words, okay, that stand before a noun or a noun phrase, okay, to define a noun or a noun phrase as specific or unspecific. If the reader or the listener already knows the subject, okay, or the thing or the person you mention, you can use definite article, I mean the. But if you mention a person, an object, or a thing for the first time, okay, the listener or the reader has never heard of it before, all right, because you mentioned it for the first time. We can use indefinite articles, a or an. Okay, very good. So please have a look at these three examples and tell me which article, all right, should be used in each sentence. Okay, are you ready? All right, let's get started with the first sentence. Jenny is psychologist. All right, psychologist. A psychologist is a person who studies psychology, right? Studies human beings, physical and especially mental beings, okay, of a human, all right? So this is a job, all right? So Jenny is psychologist. So which article should be used here in this sentence? A, an, or the? Of course, a. Okay, so we use indefinite article to talk about or to mention a person's job title or occupation. For example, I'm a teacher. She's a psychologist, an engineer, a technician, mechanic. Okay, so if you want to talk about a person's job or occupation, you've got to use a indefinite article like this. Good. Number two, my dream is to study in Europe. All right, so which article should be used in this sentence? A Europe, an Europe, or the Europe? Can you have a guess? All right. So here, we don't need any articles. Okay, because this is a continent. Before continent, we don't use articles. All right, very good. And the next one, number three. I prefer biology to physics. So biology and physics are the subjects we study at school or university, right? Okay, so for subjects, what kind of article should we use? Of course, not. Okay, so here, in this case, we don't use articles at all. All right, because before subjects. We don't need articles, right? All right, so first of all, we consider indefinite articles. How can we use them? And in what situations should indefinite articles be used? Okay? Now, number one, we use to introduce a singular countable noun. All right, so remember, is used with countable nouns only. All right? And when we mention that noun or noun phrase for the first time, for example, yesterday I bought a new red silk dress. Okay? So here I have to use the article because I mentioned my dress for the first time. Good job. 2. We use to define or classify something. Okay? Especially when you have to explain a term. All right? For example, gumbo is a thick chicken or seafood soup, which is native to South Louisiana. So gumbo is a typical dish in Louisiana state in the United States, right? A lot of people may not have heard of this dish before, so you have to define it. You have to make it clear, okay? Very good. So here, you use article right? If you want to define something. Number 3, we use indefinite articles to talk about a general truth about a singular countable noun. Okay, for example, a piano has 96 keys. Or another example, a fully grown adult has 206 bones. Okay, so we just talked about or mentioned a thing in general. Okay? We can use an. Well done. Number 4, we use an to mention some common illnesses. For example, a cold, a headache, an earache, a sore throat. Let me give you 2 examples to illustrate how an are used. Right? I've got a heavy cold. Right. The second one, I have a splitting headache. Okay, so these are some common illnesses that people often suffer. Right? So gonna use a or an. Next, number 5, we use an in some exclamation structures. Wow, if you are very surprised or amazed at something or somebody, right? Do you still remember exclamation structures? Let me give you 3 examples to illustrate how an are used in these structures. What an incredible show! What a great artist! Thomas Edison was such a great inventor. All right, so you can see in the first example, I used indefinite article an. And the second one, a. Okay, very good. So remember, in an exclamation sentence, you gotta use indefinite articles before a noun phrase. Good job. All right, so let's move on to the definite article, the. Right? So this one sounds familiar with you, right? If you want to refer something specific. I mean, the item here is known to both the writer and the reader, or it is known to both the speaker or the listener, or you mentioned it for the second time. All right? So number one, we use definite article to refer to a specific thing or person. Do you still remember the example I gave you previously? All right, so yesterday I bought a new red silk dress. Okay, so in the previous example, I used indefinite article a, right? Because I mentioned my dress for the first time. But now, I want to mention it again because I want to add a few details to the new dress. Right? So here comes my sentence. The dress looks good on me. Okay, so here I used the definite article the because I mentioned my dress for the second time. Well done. Number two, we use the with a singular noun to describe a class of things. Here comes my example. The tiger is in danger of extinction. So I use the and tiger. So remember, tiger here is singular noun. Okay? Because I want to describe a class of something. Okay? Or tiger here represents the whole group. That's great. Number three, we use the with unique or one-of-a-kind items. That means there's only one in the world. Okay? Let's have a look at these two examples to see how the is used to describe something unique or one of a kind. Who was the first man to walk on the moon? So see, I used the. I placed the definite article the before moon because there's only one moon. The moon here is unique. Very good. And the second sentence, the sun is shining. Let's go out. So here you see we have the sun. We have only one sun. So I have to use the definite article, the sun. Good job. Number four, we use the in superlative form. For instance, Michael Jackson was the best singer of all time. Okay? So, have you seen the superlative form here? Superlative structure here? We have the best. Okay, the most talented, the best singer of all time. Right. Number five, we use the to refer to a group of people. And normally, the structure goes like this. The plus adjective. Let me give you several examples. The elderly. We mean old people. Very good. The young means young people. The unemployed means people who are out of job or out of work. The rich, the poor, the sick, the disabled, the needy, the homeless. Well done. Number six, we use the with nationality to refer to all the people of that nationality. Can you say something about Japanese people? Okay, so here comes my sentence. The Japanese are always punctual. Here you see, Japanese refers to nationality, right? So here you use the Japanese to refer to the people, right, who are from Japan because they share a similar feature or characteristic. Good job. And 7, we use the with certain proper nouns. All right. First, if we want to mention oceans or talk about oceans, so we have 5 oceans in the world. The Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian, the Antarctic, and the Arctic. Very good. And we also use the when we talk about seas. For example, the Mediterranean Sea, the Caribbean Sea, the Arabian Sea. Well done. And next come rivers. Okay, and here I listed several famous rivers in the world. The Nile in Egypt, very good. The Amazon in South America. The Seine in Paris. The River Thames in London. The Danube in Europe. The Mississippi River in the United States. Very good. And next, we use the when we mention groups of islands, mountains, or deserts. For instance, the Alps in Europe, the Bahamas, the Sahara, right? The largest desert, largest hot desert in the world. Good job. We use the to talk about countries, but countries here with plural names, right? Remember, for example, we have the United States, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, the Philippines. Okay? Good job. And next, we use the to describe buildings. Some famous buildings around the world you may have heard and you may have seen, like the White House in Washington, D.C., right? The Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy, the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Okay, very good. And next, when you talk about your schools or universities, you often use of or for. Okay, for example, I'm currently studying at the University of Culture. Okay? So we have to use the, place the before the word university, and then the preposition of, and then the name of your university. And I hope that from now on you can talk about your university or use university correctly when you mention the name of your university. And next, we use the to talk about geographical locations or areas. For example, our company are going to open new branches in the West. So in the West here refer to some locations in the Western world, like in Europe or in Canada or North America. Very good. And we use the to mention seasons. All right, so we have 4 seasons, right? Summer, winter, autumn, and winter. All right, so we place the before these seasons. All right, for example, it's best to go away or to go somewhere to relax in the summer. Very good. There are some situations we don't need to use articles. That means no article at all, right? So when? Right, so no article is needed when we refer to things in general. Especially we use abstract nouns. For example, his paintings reflect his interest in nature. So nature here, if you use it, you don't need any article at all. Okay? Or another sentence. Love is blind. Time is money. So we don't need any article here because these nouns are abstract nouns. Okay, very good. Number 2, we don't use articles when we mention cities, states, or countries, continents, and lakes. For instance, New York, London. All right, so New York, London are cities. We don't need articles. Florida, Chicago, right? Very famous states in the United States, right? All right. China, France, Spain are countries, so we don't need articles. Next, Asia, Africa, Europe refer to continents. So before continents, we don't use articles. And the last one is lake. For example, Salt Lake in Hanoi, right? We don't put the or and before any lake. All right. That's great. And number 3, we don't use articles when we talk about academic subjects that we study at school or university. And I hope that you still remember the examples I analyzed in the previous, at the beginning of the video. Okay, so here are some examples of the subjects that we study at school, that we don't use articles when we mention them. Physics, chemistry, biology, philosophy. Good job. And number 4, we don't use articles when we talk about diseases. For example, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, HIV. But of course, there are some exceptions to the rule. I mean, we use the before some symptoms, common symptoms or diseases that people often contract, like the flu, the measles, the mumps, the chicken pox. Okay? And number 5, we don't use articles when we mention days, months, and parts of the day. Right? For example, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We don't need to put article before them. And months, we have May, June, July. No articles before those. At midday, at midnight, the same. No articles. However, we use the with dates in a phrase with preposition of. For example, what's the date of today? You can answer like, oh, today is the 18th of November. So this is the exception to the rule. Bear in mind. All right. And number 6, we don't use articles when we mention names of people or businesses. All right. So just simply say Dr. Davidson or Miss Brandy or any famous companies like Microsoft or Apple. We don't need to put articles before those words. Very good. However, we use the with plural family names. We refer family here as a group of people, right? For example, the Smiths. So remember, after the name, we must put S, all right? The Smiths moved out of their house last week. Good job. And the last one, there are some idiomatic expressions. We don't use articles. For instance, at home, at school, in hospital, in prison, in bed, on vacation. All right, I know that it's not that easy to remember all the rules I've just mentioned. It's best to practice, right, using them whenever you can. Right, so I've already prepared a very interesting quiz. I do hope that you can spend some time trying it and learning a lot of new things, okay, from the quiz. Thank you so much. See you next time.